Namaha. Om Gyan Tirumandasya Gyanjana Salakya Chaksho Militamina Tashmai Shri Guru Namaha. Srinadapi Sunichina Karorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kitni Sadahari Anya Blasta Sunyam Gyan Kanada Anya Blasta Sunyam Gyan Kamriana Vitam Anukaranya Krishna Shilanam Bhakti Uttama Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadata Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Dandavat pranams, dear God brothers and God sisters in various parts of the planet. Germany, I forgot Austria yesterday, apologies. Austria, England, India, America. Haribol, this beautiful Kartik Parikarama. I think we're on day 19 or 20?
19.
19. And we've been in Govardhan a little while now, a few days now. And yesterday was a beautiful, very auspicious day of the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada, when our sweet godbrother Sripad Bhaktivedanta Ashram Maharaj spoke beautifully about Prabhupada, about Guru, about the importance of Guru Nishta, Guru Seva, and Sadhana, how those three things go together to strengthen our faith. And he also made the point, an amazing point actually, in the same way that we're Rupanuga Bhaktas, we're also, what was the word he used? Prabhupadanuga Bhaktas. I thought that was really brilliant. So that was a real blast yesterday, that Katha. And today and tomorrow we have our beautiful godbrother, Sripad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj, beaming and booming in and zooming in from Navadvip, from Mayapur, at the time of 12:30. So today and tomorrow will both be at 12:30. I remind everybody that he loves questions. So please have a bucket full of questions for him and send them to me and let me know if you want to ask them either directly or anonymously. Either is fine. Hare Krishna Maharaj, welcome again. Lovely to have you back.
Dandavat Yashoda.
Dandavat.
Hare Krishna.
Hare.
Thank you so much always for inviting me into your Zoom world of England and
Zoom Loka.
Many Zoom Loka. Yes, so Zoom Loka automatically means international. So we cut across all boundaries without even needing passports or visas. We're just right here.
And the demigods are probably with us, Maharaj. You know?
Sure. I hope they are today, because we need them here to get keep the lines open. All right, Prabhus. Thank you all so much for coming. So I'm first of all offering all my Dandavat pranams to all our Rupanuga Guru Vargya. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshush Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same again, millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And all our Rupanuga Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my most prostrated Dandavat pranams to you all. So Hare Krishna. So yes, as Yashoda was, Prabhu was saying, yesterday we heard the glories of such a great personality, our most beloved Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, without whom, as Yashoda Prabhu commented yesterday, none of us would be attending or listening or practicing at all Krishna consciousness. So we owe him a debt of our lives. And our lives are spent in considering with gratitude all the immense gifts he bestowed upon us through the years, because certainly it wasn't finished when he left this world in 77. All of us have been nourished constantly from his ecstasies in his Bhagavatam, from his purports of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, from all of his publications. We're constantly nourished fully by that. So we've had 3 days of exceptional festivals. On Monday, we celebrated Govardhan Puja, and yes, what else was it on Monday we celebrated? I think we went to perhaps Uddhav Kund and Radha Kund before that. And Gopastami, I think, is on Sunday rather here. So that's another wonderful Govardhan celebration. And day before yesterday, of course, we celebrated those stalwart luminaries, Srila Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Maharaj and our beloved Bhaktivedanta Vamana Goswami Maharaj. So that was very ecstatic. And then yesterday itself, we honored Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And today is Bhakti Swarup Siddhanti Maharaj's appearance day. So I've described quite a bit of him in the audio that gets sent around. So I won't glorify further than that. You can hear the audio, and I quoted a beautiful writing or essay that he did enumerating 32 points of very enthusiastic sadhak's focus for his bhajan. So these are very wonderful contemplations that we can consider today that have come from the lotus-like heart of this great esteemed personality. So many Vaishnavas we have the opportunity to glorify, and a culmination of all this glorification is so pleasing to Sri Krishna. Krishna is so inclined towards his bhaktas, these great celebrated personalities. And if we are, someone is telling me disappearance day, but on my calendar it has appearance day, I think, of Swarup Siddhanti. But regardless, appearance or disappearance day, we've been told by all our Guru Vargya that either disappearance or appearance, they're actually both the same, because they give us an opportunity to glorify that particular individual. So we've had 3 days of glorification of the Vaishnavas. So today I would like, with your permission, to drop back again to our Damodarastakam and consider the glories of Damodarastakam prayer that Satyabrat Muni has offered, because daily, I think all of us here are chanting this beautiful Astakam and moving through the different levels of or stages of consciousness that Satyabrat Muni walks us. And of course, all of this is empowered by Guru. All of this is empowered by, as our beloved Sripad Ashram Maharaj was saying yesterday, our Guru Nishta and our Guru Seva. These two aspects will give us the adhikar, will give us the potency to appreciate these truths. Without Guru Nishta, without the current coming from, when we consider Guru, of course, we have our own personal focus on that personality who bestowed the mantras upon us, who gave us Diksha, etc. But when we think of or consider Guru, we always consider our entire Guru Vargya. Guru is the embodiment of all our Guru Vargya. He's the culmination of it. Srila Gurudev used to say regularly, same wine in different bottles. No different. When we're glorifying Gurudev, we're glorifying Srila Bhakti Parikarama Keshav Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Rupa Goswami, Narottam, all our Guru Vargya are embodied in that form of Guru. That's what it means to connect with the current coming from ultimately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there's no difference. It's this ecstatic current that Mahaprabhu has bestowed through these personalities, and singling out these different persons gives us a chance to see what are the qualities that embody these Uttam Bhagavats, these personalities. And it's very refreshing and inspiring and encouraging for us to hear so much eulogies of these personalities. But today I'm going to dive into verse 4, and hopefully Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj, and Sri Sanatan Goswami Pad, who has written this commentary on this Damodarastakam. So I want to consider the different points and flavors that they brought out. This fourth verse is exceptional. Really, all the verses are exceptional, but this fourth verse, it carries us over a particular line, you can say. It's like a culmination. We've heard the first verse is like an invocation. Namam Ishwaram Sat Chit Ananda Rupam. We're laying the groundwork in the first line. We're acknowledging the supremacy of that Sat Chit Ananda Rupam, that most beautiful embodiment of Sat Chit and Ananda, the Supreme Lord. And then immediately, as I've described previously, we're going into this ecstatic pastime, just straight away jumping across this chasm right into this pastime, where Krishna's earrings are described as moving on his cheeks because he's running in fear of Mother Yashoda. So all these considerations are immediately brought to mind as we read the first verse. And then we go into the second verse, which is more a description of the Dambanda Leela itself. And this is from the 9th chapter of the 10th canto, where Mother Yashoda, she's attempting for many hours to bind child Krishna, baby Krishna, who has broken the yogurt pot and was feeding the monkeys, feeding the birds, etc. Mother Yashoda, she feels she has to chastise her son. Otherwise, what sort of mother is she if she's not able to educate her son sufficiently into the correct behavior? It's a mother's duty. All mothers will be aware of this. And then the third verse, this Ananda Kunde, it's describing so many different leelas of Braj. It's bringing us right into the very thick of Braj Leela. So these are progressions of consciousness. Understand the whole Astakam all in one beautiful necklace, and it has different jewels along the thread, and each jewel is part of the entirety of it. You can't just single out one exclusive verse and say, well, this is what the whole Astakam is really about. It's involving all of the verses, exactly as I've described the Srimad Bhagavatam. Is the same dynamic. There are 12 cantos, but all those cantos are a single necklace on a thread, and they're all leading ultimately to the 10th canto, particularly the Rasa Panchadiya, the 5 chapters describing the remarkable pastime of the Ras Leela, which is the crest jewel of all Krishna's pastimes. This we have to deeply appreciate and consider, and always, hopefully, be working towards this. We know our Srila Gurudev that any subject matter that he chose to speak on, Prahlad Charita, Vitrasura, Chitraketu, etc., these pastimes, he would always culminate, he would always crown his katha with the moods of the gopis in Vrindavan, particularly these Rasa Panchadiya chapters, always, because that is the sadhya that he was training us, which he was demonstrating that we have to come to this place. Now, this fourth verse really demonstrates this particular point very clearly. This fourth verse, Varam deva moksham na mokshavadim va Nachanyam vrineham varesheda piya. Idam teva punata gopala balam. Sadame manasya vrishtam kimanye. This fourth verse, very, very beautiful. O supremely effulgent and playful divinity, I do not ask you for freedom from mortal suffering, the fourth of human goals, nor do I ask for the ultimate limit of freedom, residence in Vaikuntha, the abode of extraordinary, concentrated happiness, nor do I seek any other benediction from you, even attaining bhakti characterized by Shravan, Kirtan, etc. So this we have to understand. Even though as the supreme benefactor, you can easily grant all benedictions, O Lord of my life, may your beautiful form as Bala Gopal, a little cowherd boy in Braj, always remain visible within my heart. I have no use for any benediction other than this. So this is remarkable. He's rejecting moksha. Very clearly, he's substantiating that. And we spoke, I think it was last week, on the 3 stages of bhakti: sadhan bhakti, bhav bhakti, and prema bhakti. You remember we spoke on that? That klesh agni shubhada. Klesh agni means suffering. Agni, incinerated. All sufferings are incinerated, and shubhada, everything becomes very auspicious. This is the path, this is the stage of sadhan bhakti. And then we move to bhav bhakti. And the first description of bhav bhakti is moksha lukhat akrit. This means I look on moksha with disdain. So this is what Satyabrat Muni is enunciating here in this 4th verse. He's not giving any prominence in his prayers, and he wants Krishna to fully appreciate that. He's not just depending on his sincerity of heart, so to speak. He wants Krishna to hear his words, that he's not interested in moksha. And further than this, he's not even interested in Vaikuntha Prem. So this is remarkable to consider. So now I want to read a little bit, well, I want to read quite through as much as I can from this Damodarastakam book, because it's sprinkled with so much jewels about this 4th verse. Understand the rhythm of where we've come to. We've gone through these 3 verses like I've just described, and now we've hit this place where Satyabrat Muni, he's no longer glorifying the Leela. He's suddenly referring to himself and telling Krishna what he doesn't want, which is leaving open for what he does want. Often when we describe the supreme goal, we describe, first of all, what it's not, just like the verse Anya Vilasita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. This is called the Tatashta Lakshan, or the negative consideration. Yes, I don't want to consider Gyan and Karma, etc. These are, and I want to be freed from my material desires. These are the don'ts, so to speak, or the negative aspect of that verse. And then you have the Swarup Lakshan, which is the internal aspect of that verse. What is it? Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktya Uttama. So this is all the plus. This is all the positive aspect of this verse in the second part described. So Satyabrat Muni, he's explaining here what he doesn't want. Initially, he doesn't want moksha. He doesn't want Vaikuntha Prem. He doesn't even want Vaidhi Bhakti, enunciated by Shravanam, Kirtana, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padaseyanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atman, Nivedam. He doesn't even want this. So what does he want? This we're going to discuss. So now Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj is repeating basically the commentary of Sanatan Goswami. He says, up until this point, that's 1, 2, 3 verses, Satyabrat Muni has been praising Sri Bhagavan by describing the supremacy of his unique characteristics, running away from Mother Yashoda. Now in verse 4, beginning with Varam, and in verse 5, Sri Satyabrat Muni begins to pray to obtain his most cherished object. O Deva means either O supremely effulgent divinity, or O Lord who always loves to perform certain charming pastimes. This is the meaning of Deva. Here, Vara Ishat Api means even though you can grant any benediction, I do not ask you for freedom from mortal suffering. Now just consider this for a moment, all of us, we should consider deeply. We're in this conditioned state. We're being pinched, we're being pricked every moment of our waking mentality by the afflictions of this material atmosphere that we're walking in. Every moment. Who can say that they're not? We get prone to hunger. We get prone to anger. We get prone to lust. We get prone to so many connections with this material atmosphere, which are not real in themselves, because only the spiritual truth is the reality. The Antaranga Shakti is the actual reality. But these are illusory aspects of Maya that certainly intimidate us so much. We get involved in making money to try and offset these various afflictions. But in fact, the strange thing is that the opposite happens. We get more concerned with our financial situation than we did by the original reason for us trying to make the money. So these pinchings are there. So who in their heart doesn't want to be relieved of this pinching? Primarily, only those persons who have experienced a higher taste. Unless we've experienced a higher taste, how can anybody not want liberation? Who can say? Who can say, yes, I want Krishna, even though I haven't experienced a higher taste? We all, in our dreams, let's go into our dreams for a moment, where there's no false ego there. In the dream, you do whatever you want to do. You act spontaneously in a dream. So what is your spontaneous desire in a dream? It's to be freed from suffering. Who can say it's not? But we only have this ability to rise above that consideration if we've developed some taste, even the tiniest taste, for Braj, for Mahaprabhu, for our Guru Vargya, for our personal gurus, etc. If we have developed something from there, then we have the ability to look with disdain on liberation. Moksha lukhata krit. And this second word in this description of Bhav, moksha lukhata krit, is the first word. The second word is sudurlabha. This is very, very rare. Don't imagine we are freed, that we are in this state of Bhav, if we're holding any desire at all to be the enjoyer of this world. Principally, our most beloved Sachinandan Gaurahari has come to demonstrate to us the path of the Ashraya. The Ashraya means that person who is serving the Vishaya. Krishna is the Vishaya. He is the enjoyer. If we have any desire to take that place of being the enjoyer, that means across the board. This is a very high, we haven't reached that place, but we should, all of us, appreciate the nature of that place, where I am aspiring for. The little child, when he goes to school, if he can start to see the older children and what they are experiencing, that will give him great enthusiasm in his studies to achieve that same end. You understand? You know, this is what Guru Vargya is demonstrating, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, in his prayers. No, I can't completely, I can't be in that world of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, but I can hear about it and I can aspire for it. If I have that aspiration, then surely I'm making some steady type of progress. So Satyabrat Muni here, he's saying conclusively, I don't want moksha. Now he's talking from his heart. He's not just saying words to, in any sort of, deceptive type of a way. Otherwise, this Astakam wouldn't hold true. He's saying clearly that he only wants to see that Bala Gopal. This is what he's actually saying. He doesn't want Vaikuntha Prem. So now, Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj, he continues. He says, the words Anyan Cha, others also, can be understood to mean either the other benedictions obtained by performing the celebrated ninefold system of devotional service, Navada Bhakti, beginning with the process of Shravanam, etc. However, considering the word Iha in that place, the meaning is, because I am in Vrindavan, I do not have the slightest desire to accept all these benedictions. Being in Vrindavan means being in Vrindavan consciousness, which is what this Kartik Brat can bestow upon every single one of us. If we listen to Srila Gurudev's lectures that are coming around during this time, if we hear these descriptions of the Parikarama, if we enter into that atmosphere of Braj, then we too can look on with disdain on these other benedictions. And then Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj, he's continuing. Here, the progressive superiority of the three benedictions is self-evident. So 3 benedictions he's rejecting: moksha, Vaikuntha, and even Navada Bhakti. When we say Navada Bhakti, by the way, Prabhus, we're talking about Vaidhi Bhakti. We're talking about that Bhakti which is fueled by fear. I'm performing my seva because I'm not sure the sky's going to drop on my head tomorrow if I don't do it. You know, it's like most of the main, or all of the mainstream religions in the world. They go to church on Sunday, etc. And they glorify God in so many ways, all the different religions. And all of them, without exception, are fueled by fear. And of course, we know that the demons use the quality of fear to manipulate people. So we've seen how religions through the ages, they've all used, the demons have used religion to push a fearful mentality onto the people where they can control people. Because control is a definite symptom of the demons. If someone is trying to control us, some draconian government, etc., is trying to control us, we should know it's fueled by a demonic mentality. The Devas do not want to control, they want to inspire and encourage. And the path of Ragmarg is nothing but an inspiration and encouragement about the beauty of Krishna. It's nothing to do with control. Actually, we want to control Krishna with our love. That's the height of it. This is what we see Mother Yashoda here. The example of Mother Yashoda, she's definitely controlling Krishna with her love. She's even binding him with Krishna, with her love. So I just want to mention a very interesting parallel here, that there's a great disciple, not disciple, but follower. He, eternal associate, a Nityasiddha Parikar of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, called Kolavecha Sridhar. Maybe you'll remember his pastimes from Chaitanya Bhagavat. And he's described as, when Krishna was a small Brahmin boy, he would come and harass so much Kolavecha Sridhar to give him his banana peels, not the banana peels, banana spathes, you know, the insides of the banana and the banana leaves and all the products connected with the bananas that Kolavecha Sridhar used to sell. Kolavecha Sridhar had nothing. He lived in a broken down old shed. It leaked in the rainy season. His water pot even had holes in it. His clothes were all in rags. He had nothing. And yet he would collect the local banana trees and very carefully make them into little cubes, etc. And he'd sell them for a vegetable, for cooking, or the plate, or the banana leaves for plates. And he would make a pittance each day. And of that pittance, he'd divide it in half and use half for serving Mother Ganga. And Mahaprabhu, Nimai, young Nimai, would come and want to bargain with him, completely ridiculously wanting to practically get the product for free, for less than what it took the effort for Kolovecha Sridhar to acquire this banana tree. And eventually Kolovecha Sridhar would be pulling his hair out, saying, please go away. Don't harass me so much. I don't, every single day you come here and you harass me to get my goods at a fraction of the price, you know? Just go to some other banana seller. Why are you coming to me? But Mahaprabhu would relentlessly come to Kolovecha Sridhar. And then, right at the very end, when Mahaprabhu is performing his Satpaharya pastimes, the pastimes of the 21-hour kirtan, where Mahaprabhu sits on the throne of Vishnu in the house of Srivas Thakur. And he's giving so many benedictions to all the Vaishnavas at that time. And he calls for Kolovecha Sridhar. And Kolovecha Sridhar is such a humble personality that none of the Vaishnavas even know where he lives. They don't even know his house. And then they find his house. They have to search. And the residents are describing him as they're looking for it. Oh, he's the one who shouts very loudly the Maha Mantra all night because he's so hungry, because he has an empty belly, and he's just frustrated with not having any food in his belly. So he cries out the Maha Mantra loudly every night. This is what the local populace think about him. He's a very eccentric personality. Anyway, he comes in the presence of Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu reveals, this is one of the 12 Gopals. He's one of the 12 principal associates of Nityananda Prabhu. His name is Kusumasava. Kusumasava is his name. He's a cowherd boy. He's one of the 12 principal Gopals of Nityananda. And Mahaprabhu, he glorifies him because he asks Kusumasava, why don't you ever ask for wealth? And Kusumasava replies, what do I want wealth for? Where is that going to get me? Is that going to make me happy? He's a fully realized personality. Anyway, at this time, Mahaprabhu is offering him all kinds of benedictions. And finally, Kusumasava says, I just want to have darshan constantly of that little boy who was harassing me for my banana leaf pieces, the pieces of the banana tree. I just want to see that little boy always, eternally. I just want to have darshan of that small boy. So this is exactly the same type of sentiment that Satyabrat Muni is saying. Can we imagine how charming and how beautiful this Balagopal must be for Satyabrat Muni to reject moksha, reject Vaikuntha even. Vaikuntha, these 4 liberation states. What is that? Samipya, Sharsti, Sarupya. What's the fourth one? Samipya, Sharsti, Sarupya, not Sayujya, because that's, what's the one I missed? Salokya, thank you. Yes, Salokya, yes, Kusumasava, that's his name. So Salokya, so these liberations are very wonderful. Now, just for a moment, I want to describe how Srila Gurudev is wonderfully describing these Vaikuntha liberations in a very astonishing way. If you have your little Damodarastakam book here, on page 84, in the last paragraph here, it's describing, it says, those who accept these 4 kinds of mukti exist within the realm of Vaikuntha in 2 classifications. In one class, Swa Sukhaishwarya Uttara Moksha. This is the first class. The desire for one's own happiness and opulence predominates. Very interesting. This is within Vaikuntha. still the desire for one's own happiness and opulence is maintained. Whereas the other class, Prem Seva Uttara Moksha, one's longing to render loving service to Sri Bhagavan, predominates over all other desires. So two types of liberation within Vaikuntha. And Gurudev goes on. He says, those who long for Prem Sevotara Moksha never desire the inferior Swa Sukhaishwarya Uttara Moksha. The example of the four Kumaras illustrates this. Then he gives the examples of the four Kumaras who experienced the fragrance of the Tulsi on Krishna's lotus feet, and they abandoned forever their previous desires for impersonal liberation. So then Gurudev is describing these different types of classifications in Vaikuntha. And yet Satyabrat Muni, he wants to go beyond this conception of Vaikuntha. And now Srila Gurudev continues on page 86. He says, Satyabrat Muni continues, Na cha anyam. Furthermore, I have no desire to obtain any other benediction. By the word anya, other, in this phrase, Sri Satyabrat Muni implies, I do not even want the result of performing the 9 kinds of Vaidhi Navada Bhakti. This means Vaidhi Bhakti. This means the results of Vaidhi Bhakti are principally Vaikuntha, but the results of Vaidhi Bhakti are very, very powerful also. And Gurudev is describing, he says, Krishna's response to this, his response astonishes Sri Krishna, who then asks, the 9-fold system of devotional service, Navada Bhakti, has been abundantly praised in the scriptures, yet you do not want to accept even that. What is your desire then? So understand the nature of this 4th verse. We've come through 3 verses describing the pastime of Dambanda Lila. And now we're coming from the place of the sadhak's consideration of his purpose, of his goal, of how he's trying to connect with Krishna by rejecting these lower stages, these lower states. He just wants to see the form of Balagopal will only appear in one's heart as a result of prema bhakti. So I'll just backtrack from there 1 paragraph again. Then Satyabrat Muni utters his prayer. My only desire is that your form as little Balagopal manifest in my heart forever. That small cowherd boy who is afraid of his mother, and he was looking here and there with fearful, suspicious eyes. May your form as a little cowherd boy, which is present here in Vrindavan, appear within my heart. I have no need for any other benediction beside this. So this is astonishing. This is showing us the nishta, the absolute nishta of Satyabrat Muni's focus and his goal. This is all he's wanting. And this whole chapter where Gurudev is describing so many beautiful aspects, we haven't got time now to read the whole chapter together, but in essence, Gurudev begins to describe and glorify the path of Rag Marg. And he gives 3 clear verses which will carry the sadhak into this realm of Raganuga Bhakti, out of Vaidhi Bhakti. But this is not a small thing. We hear it so often. Nevertheless, we have to appreciate its sudulabha, its rarity, its exclusivity. Actually, Raganuga Bhakti is not for the general people. They will never all come to this point. Eventually they may, after they've performed much sadhan bhakti. But there's a very beautiful verse by Bhaktivedanta Thakur in this respect. He says, Vidhi Mag Rata Jane Swadinata Ratnadane Rag Mag Karuna Pravesh. This is from Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur's Sankalpa Kalpataru. And he says, Krishna eventually bestows the jewel of independence. This independence means ragmarg, unto those persons who are attached to the path of Vaidhi, thereby allowing them entrance into the path of ragmarg. So initially, we all are performing this path of Vaidhi. Even today, all of us are performing externally the path of Vaidhi Bhakti. Srila Gurudev would demonstrate the strictness of the way he conducted his life. These are following the principles of Vaidhi Bhakti. Raghunath Das Goswami, he's described as having the lines of Vaidhi like carved in his forehead. He would never step out of Vaishnava etiquette for any reason whatsoever, because this is an internal journey. The very second we try to step out of that internal and externalize ragmarg, we are going to commit offenses. If I suddenly start thinking, oh yes, my identity is that of a small girl in Vrindavan, I'm just 16 years old or 13 years old, 14 years old, and so on. If we start to externalize any of this, then we've completely lost the track totally. It has nothing to do with this material world, you see. That's why ragmarg doesn't apply in the material world. It doesn't fit in the material world. Which Raganuga Bhaktas, can live comfortably in this material world. They're just residing in internal meditation within the confines of this material atmosphere, but their consciousness is fully on that apricot place, that apricot state. So ragmarg has nothing to do with this material world. If we try and bring it into the material world, if we try and demonstrate, oh, look, I'm weeping, I'm falling on the ground, rolling on the ground, doing so many things like this. Yes, look, what a great Raganuga Bhakta I am. This is not the path of ragmarg, not remotely. It's the opposite, actually. It's a demonstration of the height and arrogance of the false ego. So Gurudev gives this beautiful verse, Krishna smaram janam kasya prishtam nija shamahitam tat tat kata rataschasyo kuryavad vasam braje sada. This means the devotee should constantly remember Sri Krishna along with the dearmost associates of Sri Krishna, whom he chooses to follow, while permanently living in Braj. He should become attached to always hearing about them. If one is unable to live in Braj by body, then one should live in Braj by mind, even though Gurudev doesn't really say that. We've got about 12 minutes left. Do we want to open for any question? There's a lot more to say here, of course, on this topic, but I think I've opened up the consideration of the importance sufficiently of this fourth verse. It's dramatic, Prabhus. This fourth verse is really pivotal because it carries, it's going to herald a new stage in the fifth verse. Because in the fifth verse, Satyabrat Muni is saying, I don't just want to see the form of Balagopal, I only want to see the beautiful face of Balagopal. Even he's gone up another quantum level. But I'm just going to leave you with one thought, that we know in the last verse, Satyabrat Muni is glorifying Sri Radhika. There's a secret in this, I believe. And I think from the very beginning, Satyabrat Muni knows that it's Radhika who bound Krishna in the month of Kartik. Mother Yashoda also binds Krishna in the month of Kartik. But this whole Astakam is actually from a consideration of he already knew in the beginning that it was Radhika who was actually binding Krishna. So if we think from that perspective, all the verses take on a slightly different meaning, really, even though it's the same principle all the way through, but the focus, the goal is Radhika, because that's who he proclaims in the very last verse. So we should know where we're going with the Astakam. So I've just tried to make the last part very briefly. so we can fit in with our time frame here. So if anyone would like to make a comment or an appreciation of this verse, that would be very nice indeed.
Beautiful, Maharaj. That was that was compelling. It was propelling. It was inspiring and immersive. It was all of those things.
It was Gurudev.
Yeah.
I hope.
There's a funny political quote that this reminds me of. It says, "America always does the right thing after it's exhausted every other option." And if you replace that with Jiva, the Jiva always ends up in Goloka after it's exhausted every other option.
Maybe. No, that's not really the no.
Well, we don't all end up in Goloka, I know.
No, we don't.
But we end up
what we this is what we really have to consider, that it's not for every, it is a very exclusive, it's a very exceptional individual who wants this. Gurudev wanted this. I'm not sure if I want this at the end of the day. Probably I just want liberation at the end of the day. I just want to be freed from the suffering of this world. We don't always know exactly what we want till we're really right up against the wall. And we know that death is a breath away. What am I asking for then at that point in time? Because it's at that point in time is going to determine your next birth and your next state of consciousness. Have we managed to immerse ourselves in this birth sufficiently in these topics pointing in the direction of the supreme goal? If we haven't, we will ask for liberation at the point of death. There's no question about it.
That fourth verse is real corollary to Anyabhlasa Sunyam, right?
Yes.
Meaning,
yes. It has it there.
Which is why it's kind of like it's a pivotal verse. It's kind of pivoting you to the next stage.
Yes. Because after this,
sorry,
go ahead, someone.
No, you go.
Because after this, where he's defining his goal further by just saying he wants to see the face of Krishna, of Balagopal, and then he's bringing in the Sankirtan as being the method and means to attain this. So then he's opening it up beyond the sort of Leela, so to speak. But then in the 7th verse, he comes back to the Leela and says, well, if you can give this to Nalikuvara and Manigriva, then why not give it to me? He's trying to make some sort of deal with Krishna here,
Right.
If you've given it, and then the 8th verse, of course, is the culmination. So it's such an incredible progression, Astakam, remarkable. It's just every night we're singing it, and I just was commenting with Bhaktivedanta Tapasvi Maharaj tonight. Every night it seems more beautiful. Every night it seems sweeter. Every night the meaning and significance of it seems to be increasing. It's certainly not static. So what fortune we have.
I had one question for you, Maharaj, about the internal process. Certainly when you have some taste at some point, even if it's for 3 seconds in your entire devotional journey of some taste for this Leela, you remember that taste and you want to, and that keeps you in the game, because you know there's something there, there's something that you really desire that's like beyond anything else. Yeah.
Faith.
How do you know when you get into the bhakti and the Leela and you're feeling that sense of joy or bliss, how do you know when you're on the side of enjoying it versus serving it? What can you say something about that kind of raises edge? How to make sure that we're always
if you're focused very clearly on Krishna, like the gopis. We have to remember the gopis example, Yashoda, in this instance. The gopis only wanted Krishna's pleasure exclusively, at the expense of their reputation, at the expense of their chastity, at the expense of everything else. So that mood of wanting to please Krishna predominantly.
Okay.
Of course, it's true, simultaneously, great joy will arise in our hearts, but we don't want to be distracted. It's just like Daruka, Krishna's charioteer, when he was fanning Krishna and tears of ecstasy were coming to his eyes, but he was condemning that because they were obstructing his service desire to please Krishna with the fanning. And even though the ecstasies were coming, Very, very good question, Yashoda, and very difficult to actually distinguish between these two. One has to be so steeped in a mood of savor, knowing that savor is the symptom of love. Savor is the symptom of love. If it's savor, then it has value. If it's not savor,
right. No, what you said's perfect, because it's like, okay, where am I right now, this second? Am I seeking how to please Krishna, or am I just trying to perpetuate my own feeling of bliss that originally came from serving Krishna? And if the latter is predominating, I need to switch. Otherwise I'm going down the wrong river.
Well, for you and me, it's like flip-flop. You know, we are Tatashta. So at some stage, there'll be great bliss in performing your MC savor here, for example, and being completely empathic with all the devotees here and trying to please them and serve them. And simultaneously will arise, you know, at exactly the same time, the pleasure that you experience from the savor. So it's like the two are riding simultaneously in our conditioned state. But then there comes a point of asakti. When we reach beyond ruchi, asakti is when the absolute attachment to Krishna reigns supreme, or the attachment to Braja Prem. That's what asakti means. It means complete absorption in attachment to the object of our affection. Whereas with ruchi, there are always these two considerations in ruchi: my taste and the actual taste that I'm able to experience just by the service. These two types of taste are described at the stage of ruchi. But it's a hairbreadth consideration, in all honesty, Yashoda Prabhu.
Yeah.
It really is.
Right? There's the ruchi.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
There's the ruchi where I'm experiencing my own illumination, my own self-illumination by experiencing the object. And that's a very high taste. Some people can sit there forever. They're relishing the sweetness that their sadhan has achieved. And others will leave that very quickly. You don't have to go through these two stages at all. We should understand that completely. You don't have to sit in a world relishing your own happiness and mental illumination, so to speak. You don't have to go through that. It just comes concomitantly with affection and taste for the Braj Leela itself, the savor.
Therefore, it seemed to me that sometimes the kind of, whether it be karma or kripa, but the kind of arrangements that Krishna Guru makes for the devotee, for the sincere devotee, which can seem quite challenging, must be there because the devotee can't always apply it to himself or herself. It has to come externally. Otherwise, we'll get either back into material enjoyment or just enjoying the fruits of our bhakti. And so those kind of empty spaces where things get really tough, that he's doing that, or Guru's doing that, because presumably that's intensifying this greed for only pleasing Krishna. And,
yes.
And if we're really smart, I suppose intelligent in the heart, we could get ahead of the curve by applying it ourselves rather than having it applied to us.
The smartness is to leave the smartness behind.
That's brilliant.
Absolutely, because as soon as the mental acumen, as soon as that mind is there, it's tricky, it's demonic, it's going to be rational, it's going to trick us. When that can be purified and put in its place as being more insignificant than achieving the mood of prayer to the object, when the mind is not rationally trying to do anything beyond mind, we must get beyond there. And then it's almost like we're left up to the winds of mercy at that stage, and the purity of your heart, in which direction you're going to roam with those winds. Where is it going to carry you to, you know? Are you going to be able to maintain that?
Yeah, no, beautiful. Really,
interesting
really
point you showed, a very interesting point. Interesting point.
Okay. There is another question but I think it's quite a long way away from Damodarastakam. Do you want to keep on the point, Maharaj, or do you mind going off piste a bit?
Depends on you how pertinent you think it is.
Yeah, we've only got 2 minutes left, so I think it'd be good to sing Damodarastakam and move on.
Does Raghava have any comment? I just saw Raghava there pop up on the screen. Raghava Prabhu, you're familiar with this Astakam? Do you have any point from Srila Gauragovinda Maharaj?
Question about the singing of the Damodarastakam and when it was first introduced. If we have any information about that.
Well, we know it was 120 million years ago.
That's 120.5, Maharaj.
I don't remember that far back.
Why not?
Anyway. My memory has been going lately.
No, but it's wonderful to consider its antiquity, you know. I mean, I did this when I was first describing this, how it was actually manifested 120 million years ago, but at the same time, it is eternal. So your question is, when did this begin? I think ever since we've had internet, it's been popular, you know. But prior to that, the Vaishnavas would have always sung this Astakam. What do you think, Raghava? What is?
I was curious about it because also, like for instance, in Gaudiya Math or in ISKCON, like in the early days, there was no singing of the Nrsimha prayers. That was later introduced. And also,
well, Nrsimha Day prayers is something different. Nrsimha Day prayers is more or less like for protection, other than being convinced that Radhika is going to protect us in all circumstances. So that came about when Prabhupada really came to the Western world and saw just how demonic it was, and we needed that. But Damodarastakam is different. Damodarastakam is bhajan. Damodarastakam is immersion in meditation.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it wasn't always there since the beginning, you know, of the ISKCON morning program, or even every year. So
Damodarastakam.
Yeah.
Damodarastakam. For me, it was in 1979. I can remember singing every single
right
in 1979. But it seemed to me that it was always being sung. I think, but certainly in all the Gaudiya Maths, it's always been sung, because Prabhupada's influence in the Gaudiya Maths is not there. They have their conceptions from Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati, so he must have introduced it. But I have another more important question for you to consider. Who was the guru of Satyabrat Rishi? Was that Narad Muni, who actually was, because without guru, I was just thinking today, how could this manifest clearly in his heart? We're talking about Guru Nishta yesterday. So he has the exchange with Matsya avatar, but where is the guru described that is actually going to generate these truths in Satyabrat Rishis? We don't know. We don't seem to have a lot of information. I know in one heading of one of the Damodarastakam books, it's got from a conversation with Narad, you know, underneath the heading of it. But I'm just basing my praman for Narad on that film, that very small thing. But I was also considering that. But the time, Prabhu, I think has been, as long as the Gaudiya institutional life, so to speak, has been since Bhaktivedanta Saraswati. And I believe that in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time, because Sanatana Goswami, right back then, is the one who's writing the commentary on this. He's writing the commentary, what was his years? 1500, something like that, right? Before 1488, he appeared. 2 years after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu appears in 1486. Sanatana Goswami appears in 1488. He's 2 years younger than Mahaprabhu. So he is giving us the beauty and juice of this Astakam during his life. So certainly from there, the devotees would have relished it. It's such an intoxicating Astakam, you know, especially to chant during Kartik. It's Radharani's, because I just threw in there for all the pundits to jump on my head that I personally consider that Satyabrat Muni probably considered the pastime of Radhika binding Krishna right from the very beginning of this Astakam. He's aware of that. And he's just saying this for the sadhaks to go through Vatsalya, Sakya, Dasya, etc. But I think he already realizes that it's Madhurya from the very beginning. Anyway, that's just what my own personal thoughts were on it.
I was thinking about the same thing. Actually,
Ah, so two of us.
No, I mean, it's very funny you're saying that, because in my mind but I didn't want to go off on another tangent, because I was thinking, like, we always see the picture of Maria Yashoda binding, and the story also, the two fingers, but really the binding of, like, Krishna with the ropes of love by Srimati Radharani, which is the ultimate, right?
So we need to have a graphic or a artistic painting of that pastime far more prominently. Only for our Sangha though, Raghava. We've already made enough waves in other Sanghas, let's not push it too far. But just for our Sangha, it would be very nice to have that. Okay, I'm getting the red light here, or the orange light before the red light. Time to wrap up. So thank you all very much. Thank you. Damodarastakam ki jai.
It's so beautiful that you zoom in from which. We're so fortunate to both have your association, Maharaj, and the fact that you're coming in from Mayapur is just extraordinary, right near where Bhaktivinoda Thakur resided. It's quite extraordinary and very magical. Thank you. And Maharaj will be back at the same time tomorrow, 12:30 UK time. That's 1:30 German time, 1:30 Austrian time, and 7:30 in the morning US time. Oh, sorry.
6 o'clock Indian time. 6 o'clock Indian time.
And 6 o'clock Indian time.
We have quite a few Delhi Wallahs on our schedule today. Oh, Udaraji. Dandavats.
And we have our dear god sister Taruni Dasi, who's going to be singing Damodarastakam today. Thank you, my dear, for sharing the bhajan with us. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Dandavats Maharaj and all the devotees. Shri Gurudeva ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Sachivat Muni ki jai. Nama Vishwaram Satchidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashoda Biyulakala Davamanam Param Brishtamachanta Dodritya Gopya Rudantamohonetra Yukmam Rijantam Karam Bhoja Yukmena Satanganecham Maharshvasakam Pachirekangakanta Stita Greva Damodaram Bhaktivedam Iti Trikswalila Pirananda Kunde Swaghosam Nimajantam Akyapayantam Tadiyashita Gyeshu Bhaktajitatam Puna Primatastam Shatavriti Vande Varam Deva Moksham Na Moksha Vadimva Nachanyam Rineham Vare Shadapiha Idam Deva Punata Gopalabalam Sada Mimanasya Virastam Kimanyai Idam Timokam Bojam Avyakta Nile Vritam Kuntale Snigdaraktishya Gopya Mohoshtambitam Bimbadaktadharam Me Manasya Virastamalam Lakshalabhai Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Bravo Dukkha Jalabdi Magnam Kripa Drishti Vrisyati Dinam Vatanu Griha Nishama Magyamedi Akshidrisha Kurveratmajo Bata Mojaiva Yadvat Tvaya Mochito Bhakti Pajo Kritoja Tata prema bhaktim swakam me prayascha. Namokshigraho me stitamodereha. Namaste stutamne spurdatiptitamne. Tvadiyadarayata vishvasyatamne. Namodarikaye tvadiyapriyaye. Namo nandalilaya devaya tubhyam. Namodarikaye tvadiyapriyaye. Namo nandalilaya devaya tubhyam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jaya
Vrindavan.
Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Jai Shri Gurudeva Ki Jai Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol
Whoa.
Radhe Radhe.
So beautiful.
Hare Krishna.